Hello, Enneagram 8. Welcome to 9 and 9, Love Me True. How to love the people in our life well. Now, Enneagram 8, I know you do things wholeheartedly. And when you put your mind to something, it's going to happen. The relationships in your life are powerful and really make an impact on the people around you. This is 9 in 9, Enneagram Wisdom for Life. I'm Jen Stanley. Let's dive in. So let's talk today for an Enneagram 8, how disconnection creeps in. 8s come to us from the doing triad. That means that they have very strong gut instinct. They actually have physical sensation in the body that will direct an 8 and move the 8 forward. And so from this doing triad, we have very strong, powerful, and dynamic people. So we've got doing as the strong place. If an 8 is partnered with somebody who maybe is doing repressed, that might not go very well for the 8 because they might feel that doing repressed person is being lazy or just doesn't care. And that isn't actually true. It's just that those primary centers are not as aligned. And so it's very important to keep that in mind when you're in relationship. 8s have a repressed center of intelligence also, and that is the feeling center. And so an 8 is going to have a gut instinct. They're going to be doing something. They're going to be thinking it through and maybe not identifying with the emotional center as well. So an 8 doesn't want to be vulnerable at all. And feelings are somewhat vulnerable. So it can be hard for the 8 to access their own feelings. And it can also be hard for the 8 to sometimes relate to and understand the feelings of others. This, as you can imagine, causes a disconnect to creep in. Now, the 8 has a time orientation of future is their strongest place. And so an 8 is definitely always moving forward. And again, I'm going to say this a lot in this particular episode, with a lot of energy. 8s have the highest amount of energy on the Enneagram, and when an 8 is going somewhere, they are going somewhere. And it's important that you recognize that they're not trying to run over you or bulldoze you. But 8s, you probably need to be aware that you're moving faster than everybody else. And so it's important to notice that and to know when to kind of push the brake a little bit on your speed. The 8 bid for connection is one that is hidden very well because an 8 does not open their hand to just anyone. You must hold it with so much care, and you must know that for them to trust you is a big, big deal. So the bid for connection for an 8 is, will you protect me? Can I trust you? Can I trust you if I share something vulnerable? Will you protect me if I need it? These are the deepest desires of the 8, and something that as people who love an 8, we must hold that very, very carefully when they give us their heart. The expectations that an 8 brings to a relationship include that the relationship is going to be very powerful, going to be very dynamic, and it's going to serve a purpose in the world. If you are partnered up with an 8, you are a power couple, and things in the world are going to change because of your relationship. An 8 just has that energy and that need to make an impact. Another expectation is that, and this one is so important if you're in a relationship with an 8, 8s believe that conflict and confrontation actually bring you closer together. They're not afraid of it. They're not going to shy away from conflict and confrontation. And honestly, when an 8 finishes a hard conversation, they're good. They're good. Now, you, as the other person on the other end of the line, may not feel as good because you may think, oh my goodness, that was hard. That was that was really abrupt. But for the 8, conflict and confrontation are something that bring people together and that bond them. And once they've talked about it, they're good. Another expectation that an 8 would bring is that within the relationship, fairness and justice is very, very important and a high virtue and value of the relationship. So Enneagram 8s, if I had to pick out a heart for you to give to the people you love, on it would be the word awareness. And here's what I mean. Your energy is really high. And maybe you've noticed that it can actually be overpowering and shut people down. And so I want to invite you to be really aware of how your energy is impacting that person whom you're with. Secondly, I want to invite you to approach situations with a little more softness. This can be in the way you carry yourself. It could be in your tone of voice. It could be in the way that you ask a question. But to be really aware of the person you're with and what makes them feel either pushed away and maybe bullied out or invited in. And so if you can soften just a little bit, those people in your life will feel more invited to be in relationship with you. And then the third thing to be aware of is your emotions. Go ahead and allow yourself, and I know it can be vulnerable to do this, but allow yourself to name the emotion and then share it with the person that you love. If you are feeling sad, if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling anxious, I know that you have access to those emotions. The part that will benefit your relationship is if you actually share them with the other person. For those of us who love an Enneagram 8, the word on our heart is going to be self-control. And I borrowed these words for these hearts from the fruits of the Spirit in the Bible. And this one was especially important because to love an Enneagram 8 well, you must remind yourself that when they give their heart to you, when they make that commitment to you, when they open up to you, your responsibility is to be as loyal to them as a knight is to the crown. Truly, you must be so trustworthy and protective of them the way that they are for you. They're not asking you to do anything they wouldn't do for you, but this responsibility, this self-control to know that you've got to hold their trust so carefully, it really, really does matter. It's also really important that you allow for personal freedom. An 8 needs a lot of personal freedom, and quite honestly, they want you to have personal freedom too. Live your life. Do great things. Invite them to be part of it, but if they don't want to be, do it anyway. They're okay with that. And allow for the 8 to do the same themselves. If you find yourself in a situation where the 8 that you love, maybe they are coming off a little too strong. Maybe they're bullying a little bit, or their energy is a little too much. I would invite you to just be direct, to be clear. Don't play games. Don't play games. Just say, this is really hurting me right now, and I'd like to talk about it in an hour. So that maybe you can both go away, the 8 can cool down a little bit, and then you can come back together. An 8 doesn't want unresolved conflict, so don't worry. You will get to the bottom of it. But if it's too much for you in the moment, honestly, this is a way you can love your 8 well, is to just put the boundary up. They'll respect it and just say, okay, you know what? I need an hour. I need to come back to this. That is a way that you love an 8 well. All right, I hope you never miss an episode. Hit the subscribe button and come back all month long as we utilize the wisdom of the Enneagram in 9 minutes or less for how to love our people well.